Small business owner check. This is my name. This is the name of my company. This is what my company does. This is why I love what I do. This is an accomplishment I'm proud of. This is where you can find me online. And if you're a small business owner, introduce yourself in the comments and let's support.
So, we want to welcome everyone to another edition, another episode of A Seat at the Dinner Table. I am Taman,
And I'm Kim.
and this evening we are having separate dinners.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No need to say sorry. But tonight my wife is having,
A protein shake because protein.
and who's the
They
main,
are
not
not
not not
sponsoring
them,
us.
not them.
Oh, this is they don't sponsor us either, but I'll talk about it. It's not a paid sponsorship, but it's Vega protein and greens, and it's actually really, really tasty.
Mhm.
It's packed full of veggies and nutrients and good things and good stuff for your body. So it's really, really good.
So I have some nice fruit, some strawberries and some blueberries with some agave
Nature's candy.
and some
Oh,
chlorophyll water.
water. Okay.
So we're trying to eat a little bit healthy, trying to get our, yeah, we're not even going that trip. So
Yeah.
tonight we are discussing or having a blended family talk.
Dun, 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 dun. Say now.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, that's better.
That's the
Dun,
best
dun,
one.
dun.
So if you don't know, me and my wife have been married for it'll be 10 years in March. We've been together 12 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a 14-year-old. So if you do the
Mm-hmm.
math, 14 minus 12 is 2.
Really?
Just yeah, education lesson.
Yeah.
But
I would say I've been a constant in her life from the age of 2.5 to present.
to present. So we are what you would call a blended family. If we were in the 80s, it would be a step family.
Really?
Um,
What's the term they
that
use?
was, I guess, back then, yeah. Or
Ain't
they
know nothing
just
about that. I don't know them other people on my face.
it's the blended family term just came out not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, um,
Struggling. You okay?
yeah. So we can give an
That's
introduction.
what blends it. When you say that part. Yes, he has a 14-year-old, and then together we have a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Right.
That's the whole
So
dynamic
that
of
is
the
the
blended
whole
family.
blended. So, um,
What pops in my head? Adam Sandler's movie. We are blending. The Terry Crews was singing that part. We are blending. Have you seen that?
it's what movie is it? The
It's
scene comes to my head,
Adam
but
Sandler and Drew Barrymore. They end up going on a vacation
okay,
together and they
yes. I
hate each
don't
other.
remember the name because they
It's
had
called
another
Blended.
movie. It's called Blended.
Yeah, the
Okay,
other movie is 50 First Dates.
that's
Yeah,
and see
yeah.
that was the first one that came into my mind when you
Gotcha.
said both of them.
Yeah, Blended is good.
So, in this situation, my wife is the step parent,
Mm-hmm.
and she has a lot of testimonials as far as the step parents, I guess, go, or bonus mom as we call her.
Yes.
Um, Different terminologies that can be had. I like bonus mom versus stepmom because that it I don't know, it just leaves a negative connotation when you say step. I don't know, sometimes maybe. So bonus mom, I like bonus mom. But we do have some questions
Mm-hmm.
lined up to get us in this talk. As we won't be before you long, as the clergy would say.
That means we're gonna be here for 3 hours.
We'll try not to.
No,
So
I will say, if you are tuning in, it might get a little heavy for you. It might get a little deep for you because if you know me, you know I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be transparent, but I'm gonna be respectful. So may get a little heavy. It is what it is. It's nothing but the truth. My truth. Oh.
so first we do want to thank the good folks over at Simply Shondell for
Ooh, ooh.
sponsorship. So shop at www.simplyshondell.com for any of your earring needs. So we will first start off with, what is the best part about being a blended family?
So I guess so all these questions are pretty much gonna be for no, 'cause
No,
you got a
I'm gonna
perspective
talk.
too.
Yeah, I
Okay.
got. I mean,
For me, the best part of being a blended family is you get the opportunity to love on and nurture as many kids as you can. You get to hopefully the hope is to build a strong connection with the child. Also, I mean, in a ideal world, you would want to build a strong connection with that child's other parents, whether they are blended on that side as well. So I would say the best part is just being able to spread love and continue to be a part of someone's upbringing if you enjoy parenting or being a parent.
um, so I would say that on my end, that the best part about being a blended family is, um, for one, it tests your character. Um, so I mean, there's many dynamics and many different personalities when you're talking about a blended family, and through the process, it allows you to look at things from other people's view and to try to make sure that you are being yourself
Mhm,
as well as being the best in the role that you're in, whether it be father, mother, stepmother, birth mother, birth father, whatever the case may be. It allows you to see how much you can not necessarily take, but how much you can adapt to, and in turn, that to me, it builds character.
mhm,
So when I think about my path when it comes to the blended family, one of the best parts about it is that it has helped me myself build character within myself, and able to put some things to the side and grow as a father, as a husband, as a baby daddy, and as a man.
mhm.
So
I wanna also say, I was looking up some things. I was looking up blended family, and it's not just stepmother, stepfather that makes it a blended family or stepchildren that make it a blended family
yeah,
because they even said like adoptive parents and foster parents and things like that, they're blended families as well
yeah,
because if you are adopting and you have your own kids, you still have to blend your family together.
definitely, definitely.
Foster kids, the same thing. So it's a lot of different dynamics to a blended family.
Well, that kind of goes into the next question.
Oh, does it?
What are the most common myths about typical blended families, and what are the realities?
This is just my opinion, but I think that one myth is that the families don't get along. I think that's a myth when in reality it can work. It
Mhm,
can definitely work if you have mature people in a situation that are willing to put the child first.
mhm.
I think another myth is that the step parent is always evil. Because like in every Disney movie, the step parent is evil
Yeah,
and horrible to the kid,
yeah.
and that's not true. I'm not saying that it's not true in some instances, but
Mhm.
hell, even real parents, biological parents are evil. So, so I think that's a big myth that when you hear stepmom, stepdad, you automatically are like, oof.
Yeah.
So, I think that's a big myth. Um, what you got?
I think one of the common myths about typical blended families is that there's there's not a good side. That would be a myth. Pretty much what you said, like everything, like as far as the step parents, they're not always evil. Um, the situation can always be what it what's the word I'm looking for?
Let's find it.
Let's find it. um it can be to where the situation is to where like you guys have a cohesive unit.
Mhm.
Um, but that does take a lot of really coming together, to be
Right.
quite honest.
Right.
But that everyone doesn't get along,
Mhm.
a myth per se, um, or a stereotype, I would say. But what are the realities?
Oh, I added realities to the part of
Oh,
myth.
okay. Well, my
But also there are some people who think that um a blended family is easy. Some people think that it's easy. You got to
yeah.
think it depending on how you're blending your family, because sometimes there are families where the mother has kids from a previous relationship, the father has kids from a previous relationship, and these kids got to come together not only as friends but as siblings. They
Mhm.
all have different personalities. They had different ways of life with their other parent in those households. Like you actually have to combine, try to blend households and not
Yeah,
just personalities and all of that. So I think that's another myth too that sometimes people think it's super easy. Oh, I'm gonna step in. I'm just gonna do this and do that. Like no,
definitely.
doesn't work like that.
And I mean, I can just speak from experience. That just being transparent. My parents were got divorced when I was in my early teen years, preteen to teen years. So I had a stepfather, I had a stepmother. Um, my stepfather now has kids, which they're around my age.
Oh.
Excuse me. Of course, we're all adults, but at the same time, that was a dynamic that I know that was, I'm not gonna say hard, but it needed some time to go through
Hmm.
when it came to my mother and just the dynamic of her son and his family, and then her husband and his kids and whatnot. It was a lot of give and take, but I'm glad of where we're at now.
Hmm.
Um, I'm glad that I was able to spend some of the holidays with them and not necessarily quote unquote get to know them, but just like let them know that hey, if they need anything,
Right.
they can look at me as a brother, whether older, younger, whatever the case may be. Um, and even on my father's side, uh, I mean, just there's been relationships in marriage that he's had to where I still see not necessarily as a stepmom, but I still see them as family.
Hmm.
So that's the reality of it, is the fact that I mean, regardless of what the situation is and the outcome of the situation, that you're going to be linked together.
Right.
And whether it's in time or children or whatever the case may be, there's always going to be a link, and that link is not going to go away regardless of what you think.
Yeah.
So the next question is, how do you go about giving attention to each child? Now, I guess this is a question. This is specifically, I guess, where we can advise per se from our point of views. But yeah, if you can go ahead.
Giving attention to each child, it's the same as if they were all just biologically yours. You got to learn the child.
Hmm.
You have to learn the child. Um, and we can go there.
I don't know
Funny.
where you're going.
No, so okay, so um being transparent, our oldest was with us for the past 3 years.
Mhm.
Recently, just this past summer, she went back with her mom, and she had been with us two other occasions too for an extended period of time. The first time she was with us, we did not have Siani. I think I was pregnant with her.
Correct.
The second time she was with us, I was pregnant with was I pregnant with Nehemiah? And then she went back? I think I was pregnant with Nehemiah and then she went back because after I had Nehemiah, Siani started kindergarten.
Hmm.
And then this time it was having all three of them together. Um, I did my damnedest to spread love to all three kids equally,
Very
making
true.
sure that we had open conversations with what do you need from me as a parent, as a
Hmm.
step parent? What do you need from me? You can tell me what you need from me. We wanted to have that dynamic with the kids. We still
Yes.
do. Um, it got to a point to where it was draining me trying to, and I felt like at one point I was overcompensating, trying to give enough attention to the oldest because I was not her biological mom. And her actions actually showed that I wasn't her biological mom, and it was going to be known that I wasn't her biological mom. She wasn't like blatantly disrespectful or anything about it, but I just couldn't figure out what it was that I wasn't giving her that she needed. And it took a hard conversation and her telling me that I was more into the relate trying to build a relationship that she was because she wanted that relationship from her mom. And I was like, you know what? I can respect that 100%. And I thank you for telling me because now it's like, I know that it's not me. I'm doing all that I can do and I'm not slighting you. You don't feel slighted,
Right.
but it's not what you want. So I'm like, okay, cool. So it's about really being open with the kids, letting them talk age appropriately, of course, and hearing them when they tell you this
Mm.
stuff, hearing them because I'm gonna be honest, it was tough to hear like you care more about this relationship than I do. That was really tough to hear, but it was such a honest statement because the action showed it. But it allows you to again learn that child and move accordingly to do what you need to do. So I was like, okay, so I could tell that the other two were slacking for with my attention for me trying to overcompensate here. So you just had to I had to make those adjustments because with the honesty came my 10-year-old saying, I don't get to spend time with you. You're always angry now because of this, that, and the other that's going on. Again, an honest moment from a child to where it opened my eyes like, okay, I need to do better. I need to do this. I need to change some things. So it takes listening, being open and honest and listening to the child because kids have emotions and feelings
Of
and
course.
we as adults need to help validate those emotions and feelings and guide them.
Of course. Um, excuse me. When I really try to be
You hear
the
him
best
say
father that
yes?
I can be when
Mhm.
given attention. Um, I know that at times when we were early on in our relationship that I was probably giving more attention to the my oldest than my youngest daughter at the time, and I think it was more so of the fact of what happened in my past. And I wanted to make sure that that didn't repeat, or not even saying that anything was wrong or whatever that happened as far as the past is concerned. I just know that in my relationship with my parents, and more so of the parent that I didn't live with, was strained.
Mhm.
And I know that I didn't want that to happen with my oldest. So I attempted to overcompensate.
Mhm.
Um, Not financially, because that's an area that I have grown and now in a better position. However, at the time, I was not. So needless to say that um, the more I started to realize that, the more I started to balance it out as far as the attention is concerned,
Mhm.
and being more cognitive of all of their needs because all they're different. And
Very.
at the end of the day, like my oldest is her DNA is not my wife. It's her mother's and mine as well. So I have to understand and see both myself and her mother in her, and then in the other two, see the other two in me and my wife, and parent accordingly, and understanding their personality styles as well. So when it came about as far as like giving attention, it's like I know what areas that I struggle in that I see that my kids struggle in. I know what areas that they excel in that I see that I excel in. I
Mhm.
know my wife the same way. And with my daughter's mother, it's some things that I was still learning because I was young when we were together. I was in my early 20s and it was a lot of growing up that I had to do
Mhm.
and really not understanding the dynamic of understanding the person that you're with. Um, kind of creeps in when you have that type of issue. So I mean, for at this point right now, my present, I give them equal attention. Even with her being in North Carolina, call her
Mhm.
weekly, check up on her grades, have the same discipline talks that I have with my two that are here. Um, Willing to help, Zoom calls, going over things, whether it be spiritual talk, life lessons, whatever the case, money lessons, boys and friends, all of that. Uh, I treat them all the same, and just understanding that they have different personalities, and knowing that specific areas may need more attention than others. But I mean, that's everybody. So,
Right, right.
so the next question. Oh Lord. So the next question is, what was the biggest struggle you have to face or you have faced as a family or individually, and how did you overcome?
Mm, that's a heavy question.
That's a heavy question.
For
Well, then
me.
I'll start then,
Yeah,
since it's heavy.
yeah.
Um, I would say that the biggest struggle would have been at the beginning co-parenting. At the that's one, but at the beginning it was a struggle. As far as my relationship with my daughter's mother, it was strained. So that in itself made it very hard for us to come together to actually co-parent effectively. Along with the fact that with me having a new significant other, um, that was also hard. And then you have the outside factors of people saying how things should go,
Mhm.
and that in itself weighed a toll on me because it was kind of like I'm trying to be the best version of myself as far as being a father and a husband, a newly husband, and a baby daddy, and trying to work through all of those types of things. It was a struggle that was some years, and it finally took for me, my wife, and my daughter's mother to really have a actual sit down
Mhm.
and say, hey, these are the areas that we need to come together on, that we need to discuss, that we need to talk about, and really having that conversation of saying, listen, we're all family at the end of the day. And that to me was the hugest step in understanding that it's not two separate entities, like we're all one, and we're working through this together, and we do want to see each other succeed
Mhm.
in all endeavors, especially when it comes to parenting the kids. So that was the hugest. I'm not going to go into detail as far as everything that happened in between, because just a general blanket statement, that was the most difficult thing, was getting together to be able to co-parent.
And see, to negate that, I think people need to understand, regardless of how you feel about each other, that needs to happen more sooner than later.
Yeah,
Because with us, that happened darn near
years.
12 years down the line for us to have like a serious in front of each other, all three of us talk together. Like
And
it
see, that, I'm sorry to cut you off. I'll take blame for
was
that
good.
because as a man in the situation, it was something inside of me to where like I didn't know how it was going to be cohesive. I didn't know how it was going to come together.
Hmm.
Um, because I know how my wife is and I know how my daughter's mother was. And I didn't want the wrong thing to be said or anything like that to where it came to situation like that because that's not what I wanted.
Mhm.
So I avoided the issue for a very long time. And it got to the point to where like once I start actually working on myself and really seeing some of my faults and areas that I need to change and grow in
Mhm.
is when I realized that I mean this is not only affecting me, but it's going to affect my daughter as well.
Right.
Because if she sees us as two separate units, then she's going to play us against each other. Whereas now it is to where when I have the talks, it's not like a combative type thing when I'm talking to her mom now. And it's not like we can't all get on the phone and have literally like a family meeting
Right.
and it not be on some, oh, you talking to your daughter's mom on her behalf, you know what I
Right.
mean? Or Kamora or my daughter's mom, I didn't say the name, or my daughter's mom feeling some type of way or anything like that. I'm just glad that where we're at right now, it may not be the quote unquote best spot,
Right.
but it's the best area that we've been in thus far.
Right. So, biggest struggle for me, I so piggybacking kind of off of what you just said,
Hmm.
I did not have any dealings in you guys co-parenting together. I, for the most part, stayed back, stayed in my lane, allowed you to do what you needed to do and say what you needed to say. There were times where I was there just to be like a third party listening ear to make sure, like, not even, and he can tell you, I never ever just automatically took his side on everything. I always played a neutral party because I would do my part and let each person know, like, hey, that's a little wrong, or I would advocate for whoever that I saw in the situation needed it.
Hmm.
So I tried to always stay like a neutral party between them, but let them two handle it because at the end of the day, I don't have much say into like her actual upbringing and whatnot.
You
When she was
do,
here, but
though.
I mean like
I get
the
what you're
overall,
saying. I get what you're saying.
it was more. I had more say when she was here because, I mean, the saying, "My house, my rules." Like
Mhm.
we are the parents in this household, so yes, I'm the mother in this household. So although I am not your mother, I am your mother figure while you are here. So
Mhm.
that, yeah, I definitely had a say in that. But the struggles for me was solely being a stepmom because it was rough from the very beginning. It was like he said, to stay kind of general, it was just a lot of finger pointing as far like if there were some behavioral issues. It wasn't necessarily like a it's your fault, but it was a maybe it's you, maybe you're doing this, or maybe this, and nobody was really willing to, your words that you like to use, look at it objectively. A lot of, if no one
That's
was willing,
mine.
that's how that you've been saying that a lot
Yeah,
lately.
because go ahead.
But no one was willing to look at the situation that was happening objectively and see it for what it was because this sweet little girl and no one ever seen her act like this. And I'm like, am I crazy? Am I tripping? So for a long time, I second guessed myself, my actions, everything that I said, I was second guessing it and questioning coming to him, which in turn is like I can't parent like this if that's what if that's what I'm here for in this role, and then like now this child is in my home. I can't parent because I'm parenting my kid, my biological kids like this.
Mhm.
But it's hard because if I do the same thing to my bonus daughter, I'm going to be looked at, or somebody's going to have something to say, or there's going to be outside chatter and whatnot. And that was so hard for me. And just the dynamic of that, worrying about other people outside of our household, and then worrying about her and I in our relationship, which to be honest, it's been more tough times than great. It has been some great times, but it's been more tough times than great. So that in itself was a struggle for me, and the way I'm trying to still overcome it because it's a lot of deep scars that are there now. Like a lot of things hurt me deep. And the way that I'm working on overcoming it, honestly, is therapy. Therapy, quote unquote, saved me. It
Wasn't
saved
me.
me.
Wouldn't me, wouldn't God? I'm messing. I'm messing. I'm messing.
Of
I am messing.
course. If it wasn't for the Most High, I wouldn't have been seeking therapy. I wouldn't have been seeking therapy. So, yes, you pushed me to therapy too. You helped me to.
Not the most high. I'm just go ahead.
I
Go
can't with
ahead.
you
Go
tonight.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, you are not the Most High. Yeah, not at all. But
Mhm.
you threw it in there, so I had to say, like,
Right.
of course, it goes to like I believe in the Most High. I pray. I read a little bit. I try, but he leads me. He shows me. He puts things in front of me. There, I can't tell you how many times different memes and things about therapy would come up without me saying it out loud. So it wasn't like the Big Brother algorithm that was listening to me.
Allegedly. Allegedly. We try to get kicked
It
off
was,
Facebook.
I mean, the Most High was putting these things in front of me and showing me what I needed to do, put me in these different situations. And yes, I pray, but there has to be more action done to that. And so, what I seek, I sought therapy,
Mhm.
and like I said, it saved me.
So
Mhm.
now in the midst of that, how important is co-parenting meetings?
You can do without them. It's like, no, I'm playing. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. They are very important.
Very.
Because you have you like you said before, you have to be on one accord. Whether it's mom, dad, bonus dad, even you can throw in grandparents and stuff in there. Like it's
Mhm.
very important because a child can play on everybody, can adapt to everybody. They can say, "Oh, this I know that this person is going to let me slide with this. This one is not. So
Mhm.
I'm not going to tell this one what's going on, or I'm only going to tell this one a little bit of what's happening so that they can think like it's not me, it's them." So it's very, very, very important that everybody is meeting. You don't always have to be, it's best to be on all the same page, but at least if you all have the same understanding and know a situation, you can kind of weed out the BS in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I can speak to that and say that co-parenting meetings is something that's needed. I think that the dynamic I'll speak for me as a uh I don't want to keep saying it, but baby dad. Um of course the stereotype is there as a black man that you're not going to be there for your kid.
Hmm.
There's a stereotype as well that you can't get along with your baby mom. Um Now, those are the two things that we as a collective need to really hone on and show that the stereotype is incorrect
Right.
and really prove the naysayers wrong. And what I mean by that is that when you have situations to where it may seem like it's difficult, you have to, for one, stick it out for the benefit of your child because at the end of the day, your child loves both their mother and their father,
Hmm.
and you are there to guide them in the direction that they need to go. And in that, you have to be what they say as the bigger person, or let the pride go. J. Cole said it best: "Pride is the devil,"
Hmm.
and pride is something that can hinder growth.
Right.
And with that, when you come together as a unit, and it doesn't have to be like you guys are having family dinners or anything like that. However, when you guys come and talk together and have an agreement and have some dialogue as far as how we can raise this child, um, I mean, it takes a village to raise a child. Shout out to my cousin Kurt, that has his charity of "It Takes a Village to Raise a Child." But that it's on my dad's side. But needless to say, um, I mean that phrase is very relevant. And like she said, from the grandparents, the aunts, uncles, cousins, and all those things. I mean, when you have birthday parties, everybody's going to come together anyway.
Right.
So it needs to be co-parenting on both the parenting side as well as the family unit as well. It needs to have some camaraderie and come togetherness. So it's for the benefit of not only just for the children that's involved, but just understanding that you have extended family. I mean, At the end of the day, if you make those decisions as far as being with someone and it doesn't work, you still have a responsibility.
Right.
And you have to make the best of that responsibility, regardless of what emotions, what feelings you have. All of that's got to be put aside at the end of the day because you have life or lives that are depending on it.
Right.
Anything to
Definitely.
add?
So I'm thinking, I mean, it's like a cut and dry question to me. It's definitely important. Um, See, for me, growing up, I didn't have to do any of this because I don't know my dad's side of the family.
Okay.
It was so normal for me to just go along with whatever my mom, my grandmom, and them are doing. So even just getting into a family, it was so odd to me. Like, oh wait, I had to consider the dad side of the family because I didn't have that. It wasn't. It was normal for me to not have to be considered for a dad's side of the family.
Mhm.
So that was that was tough for me in itself. So like dealing with that and then a whole other family
Mhm.
that you got to deal with is definitely important for the get-togethers and the meetings, the sit downs and understandings.
And see, I think that some people will automatically say that, like, they'll have an assumption as far as a person is concerned, with not necessarily knowing what they've been through to mold them to where they are.
Mm-hmm.
So, like she just said, as far as not really seeing her father's side and it being just on her mother's side, and that's what it was, that's something that she had to get used to, not only being a married woman, but just being a woman in general,
Right.
because it's only been her mom and her mom's side of the family. So, when it comes to having another dynamic, it's like, okay, it's not just about me and my family. I got to actually bring in his family as well.
Right.
So just looking at like the history, even of me, of being in in a quote unquote blended family, I've had to deal with this before, to where my mother remarried and I had to introduce myself to that side of the family and be around that side of the family. And even with my father remarrying as well, I had to adjust. And at the end of the day, like, what I've been through molded me to be able to be better in those situations. Whereas with her, she had to grow into that situation. So I think that we as people got to look and not just assume that things aren't working out because of the person itself, or there it's negative and it's this and that. You really got to think of how that person grew up as well, and how they were brought up, and how they have molded in their mind as far as a familiarity or things that they're used to and whatnot, and they have to adjust.
You gotta
So
be open to it too,
very much
because
so.
there are some people who are not open to accepting other people's types of life, not necessarily, well, yeah, lifestyle, traditions, things like that.
Hmm.
You gotta be open to it in order to be able to blend and grow together.
Very much so. Very much so. So the last question: what advice would you give a newly blended family?
Don't do it, Miss Sophia. Don't do
Wow.
it. I
Wow.
know.
All right.
I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. It's still the best choice that I've made for myself. Um, was
I
I
like
supposed
that.
to answer this question?
Yeah, I mean,
No.
you can.
Oh, I know. I would say you have to be strong.
Keep looking at the
Be
screen.
strong. If you don't think you're going to be strong enough, walk away because you will be challenged heavily. Good. I mean, every situation is may not have the challenges that I had because I am a part of like some Facebook groups and things for stepmoms.
Hmm.
Because honestly, if you have never been a part of it, you do not know how it feels. You can be a child of as an adult, you could have been a child of a blended family, but not have a blended family yourself. You're not going to know how it feels from the adult perspective, the
Very
parent
much so.
perspective. So, um, yeah. So for my advice, if you're strong enough to go through it and willing to adjust and adapt, find support because you will need support. You will need to reach out and contact people who understand wholeheartedly what you're in. It's just like a person who's never been married can't really give you the full
Right.
logistics of
That's a fact.
a marriage. It's there are just some things in life, like with parenting, you can kind of you don't have to be a parent to know how to parent because anybody honestly can be parent like
There's
aunts,
definitely not a
uncles,
rule book.
teachers, things like that. Anybody can be parent
It's
like.
not a
So
textbook or anything.
stuff like that, yeah, somebody else can advise, but like being a the role of a step parent or blended family, if you have not been in it directly, you can't really understand fully. I'm not saying that you can't understand. I'm saying you can't understand fully what that person is actually feeling and going through. That's so you can empathize, but you may not be able to sympathize with someone. So make sure you have support, whether it's like I said, Facebook groups, they help me out a lot because I would read their stories and like, damn, I'm happy with where we at. I'm happy with what I'm going through right now. I can take this child not talking to me or treating me like crap because what you're going through, I'd walk away. Couldn't do it. But yeah, support. It's support that goes back to a village. A village can look like anything.
He said for better or for worse.
Listen, listen. That
So,
when that worst hit, phew,
well, I hope no more worse hits. No, I'm joking. She's good. She's staying. Um,
because
really,
I love
you
you.
do this on camera. She's gonna say, "Emma, really?"
I do that off camera.
Yeah, I know. So, what advice you would give newly blended family?
I said it. Oh,
I
sorry.
was just repeating the question for myself. Um, so for me, I would say that first things first
Ah,
is
Papa. Dang, I meant to say that in my head. Sorry.
the the betterment, not the betterment. Yes,
Word?
the is it? It's going to be a word tonight. The betterment of the child comes first. Um, when I say that in a lot of aspects. So, for instance, in our situation where there was some issues between my wife and my wife and my daughter, um, we understood where she was at and we had talks with her. And it's not like we just sent her with her mom because we couldn't take her anymore. It
Right.
was the fact that she wanted to build that relationship with her mom. And with knowing that, I had to set aside my pride of wanting all of my kids in one house
Mm-hmm.
and understanding that the child came first in this instance. And not just doing what she wanted, but what I really thought in the process would be best for her as far as her relationship with her mother. And knowing that I have a foundation that's with her that she understands and I'm never going to not be there for her. So I think that in even when we're talking about all spectrums of blended families, I think that when you become a foster parent, you know that that child has been through or they've been through some type of trauma,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's newborn or up to a teenager. They've
Right.
been through the trauma of
Not
their
being with their parents.
exactly the ones who birthed them.
Yeah.
So that's always going to be a lingering question in their head, and you have to be emotionally strong enough to be there for them, and not feel like you got to take stuff out on yourself or anybody around you just because of whatever the child is going through that could affect you. So I would say ultimately that the the upbringing and how you're raising the child or the children should come first,
Mm-hmm.
and that means setting aside pride issues that you have with the birth parents if you're in like that type of blended family, or any type of negative feelings that you may feel towards birth parents if you're fostering kids or whatever the case may be. Like at
Mhm.
the end of the day, you want to do what's best for that child first. And there's times to where you're going to have to swallow your pride and really hope for the best.
Mhm.
And I know that just me just speaking up for my wife, I know that my wife has done what she's needed to do as far as putting my daughter first, whether it be when she was younger, and just trying to develop a relationship, to when she was older and letting her know that that door is open regardless of the situation, and whether she wanted to hear it or not, she gave her the advice that I would think that any mother would give a daughter.
Mhm.
So I know from what I've seen in my household that my wife has put my daughter first when it came to the co-parenting and the blended family. And even sometimes um was to my disagreement. I would disagree sometimes with some of her way of thinking and way of doing things. But at the same time, us coming together and talking about it, I understood what she meant or what she said by X, Y, and Z. And I knew that it would be best for the child if, like, whatever my wife has said at the time. So leaving that pride aside and really understanding that the child or the children are the number one priority when it comes to the blending families. Because I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of how they became under your care, they're under your care.
Right.
And you have to set an example, set standards, because they're the future of the world.
And I
So
believe the children are our future. I hear Randy.
I was about to say, you singing it in the wrong. Teach them well, man.
Let them
Let
lead the
them lead the
way.
way. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. That is my favorite movie. Um, so yeah, I went on a little tangent, and we got a new holiday tradition to where on that day, Xmas, the 25th of December.
Stupid.
Um, what we do is everyone picks their favorite movie, and
We
we
won.
all watch. So it's like a movie marathon. And each year for me, it's Coming to America
Oh, you can add
or
coming to
Coming to
America
America
too
2.
now.
So yeah, this year might be, I don't know, I might switch it up.
Yeah.
But needless to say, my favorite movie of all time is Coming to America. So
Mhm. Yeah.
and all the lines start coming in my head. So um again, we want to thank the good folks at Simply Shondale.
Thank you.
Um don't just take all the credit. Your daughter might feel away.
Right.
Um needless to say,
She don't
um
want to put in no work. She want to take credit. She don't want to put in no work.
let her tell it. It's something different.
I know, right?
But we do thank you guys for tuning in. If you like or subscribed, we greatly appreciate your support. In tonight's episode, if you haven't noticed by now, if you've commented, is recorded. We got some things that we got to take care of, so we wanted to bless you guys with the episode.
Mm.
However, we wouldn't be able to go live this week. However, we definitely wanted to get you guys with some content, some good content. Hopefully, you like what you hear. If you have any questions,
Reach
whatever,
out to us.
definitely reach out to us.
I would say I'm an open book. You can reach out to me, Facebook, Instagram, anything. I don't care. Reach out. You have questions because you never know. I may have been through something that you're going through right now and can give you some advice on it. Even if you don't take the advice, you can just see a different perspective of it. So each one of us, we got something to offer. Reach out.
I'm an open brochure, not a book.
Really.
So I'll give you some points, some bullet points.
Oh,
It's just a joke.
jeez.
All right. So we thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see you guys next episode. But until then, hope you
Oh,
guys have a good
wait. Would
night.
the next episode be in the new year?
The next episode will be the 29th.
Oh, we'll still do
So that'll be
2025.
That'll be the end of the year celebration.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, we
and I
can
think
call it
that'll
a
be
we
episode
can call
10.
it a holiday party like my job, and it just be food. Dang, I'm sorry. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
You guys have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your week and next week, and we'll see you again 2 weeks.